Great. Well, I would like to call this meeting to order of the Maple Run School Board at 6:05 p.m. It appears we have 9 board members representing 8 folks. So welcome, everybody. As you know, I'm starting the meeting today because we are minus a chair for a few minutes, but not too much longer. I want to certainly welcome 2 new board members that we have this evening. And given the banter I've been hearing, I think most people know each other. But in case you don't, we have Katie Messier, representing town, and Peter Deloria, representing city. Welcome to both of you. I think it'll be a great experience for you. It's a great board, and a lot gets accomplished. So welcome.
Thank you.
So next is our agenda review. I do have one thing I would like to add under new business 8C, and it would be called District Van Acquisition Information. And with that, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
So moved as amended.
Thank
I'll
you.
second. I'll second.
Second who? I'm sorry.
I'll second Nina.
Nina seconds. Thank you, Nina. All in favor of the motion? Say aye.
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 Okay. Negative, nays, abstentions. Passes.
Hey, Kevin, could Katie and Peter both say hello so we can see them on the screen? Because I can't see them yet.
Okay.
When they speak, they'll come up.
Katie, would you like to say hello?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Katie. I would like to say thank you for welcoming me into this committee. Hopefully you all do welcome me in. I appreciate, all of you, and I really look forward to just learning from all of you. I admit I don't know a lot, so I'm looking for you guys. So thank you.
Welcome, Katie.
Thank you.
Hi, and thank you for calling on me so I can show them that I'm wearing a white shirt. But again, I want to thank everyone for allowing me to sit and listen, and I'm going to do a lot of listening because I have a lot of learning to do. I've heard so many good things about the board, very professional, very knowledgeable. Thank you for allowing me to be part of it.
Thank you, Pete. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance.
To the flag
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you. So next is our yearly board reorganization. And you should have that on your agenda, what that includes. And it starts out with an election of a board chair, who then will take over the remainder of the meeting.
Mr. Interim Chair,
Yes?
I would like to be recognized.
Yes, Al.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great deal of pleasure at this time to place a nomination, a name for the chair of this wonderful organization. Someone who has the experience, has the desire, and has the passion to take us through another year of great success. I would like to nominate Nelda Ganella French for chair.
Thank you, Al. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Nina. Are there any other nominations for chair?
I move that the secretary cast one ballot in the name of Nilda Ganella French for chair.
If I hear no other nominations, then I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of Nilda Ganella French as board chair, please raise your hand. Thank you. Those opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations, Nilda.
Thank you, I think. We should note that Jack is not here tonight. Last minute.
Jack, he's sorry about that. He's talked to me ahead of time. He's under the weather today.
I've got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I did not get to the city clerk's office today to do my certification, so I'm assuming that I can't vote tonight.
That's correct. And I was going to ask the
Okay.
question, Nilda, Katie, and Peter, were you able to get there?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Nilda, it's all yours.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to elect a vice chair. I'd like to open nominations for the vice chair position, please.
Nilda,
Yes,
this is Joanna. I would like to nominate Nina Hunsinger for vice chair.
thank you. Is there a second for that? Is there a second for that? I'll second it. Did someone second it?
Yeah, this is Alicia Nilda.
Can I
also.
nominate someone? Oh.
Thank you. I'd also like to make a nomination for vice chair for Jack McCarthy, please.
I'll second that.
Just for the record, I want to say that I did have a conversation with Jack this morning, and he is interested in being vice chair, even though he can't be present here tonight. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Any others? So we have two nominations for vice chair. I think we're going to have to take a raise your hand kind of vote so that on the Hollywood Squares, we can try to count the hands. So I would first like to have vote who's voting in favor of Jack McCarthy as vice chair. Please raise your hand. I think I'm getting 3 people. Can someone spot check me? Okay, thank you. And now, were there any abstentions on that?
I abstain, Nilda. This is Peter Delorier.
Okay, thank you. So we have 3 votes yes and 1 abstention. What am I doing wrong here? This isn't gonna work.
There's no
No.
Yeah, you either vote yes or nothing, right?
right.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Okay. My first act as chair and I'm messing up already. Okay, now I'd like to take a vote for Nina Hunsinger as vice chair. All in favor signify by raising your hand like this.
Vote for yourself, but
You can vote for
you
yourself.
can. Okay.
I think I got 4 votes. Is that correct? Who's my spot checker?
Yes.
Who's my statistician?
I'm
Martha,
with you.
did you
I'm
get-
with you with Nilda. You got it. I can see
Okay.
everybody.
So looking at the votes, it looks like 3 for Jack and 4 for Nina. Congratulations, Nina. You are the vice chair of the Maple Run Unified School District Board. Do you
Thank you.
accept that?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we move on to board clerk. May I accept some nominations for board clerk, please? Okay, the position needs to be filled.
I'll nominate Alicia Sawyer.
Hey,
Thank
Nina,
you.
just a
Yeah,
quick question.
Sure.
For the vice chair,
Mhm.
was it 4 or 3.5? How does that work? It
That-
probably doesn't matter because it's still more than 3, but
It would
I
be,
think you're right, it's 3.5.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yep.
You're right. So for Peter
And I've got
and
another,
Katie, just for your information, Fairfield has 2 representatives and they each have a half a vote.
Right.
So when we have 10 people on the board and it represents 9 votes. And Jack's not here, so we have 8 people potentially voting.
but really only 7.5 votes because I can't vote tonight.
Right.
That's right. Perfect. So it looks like, just to reiterate, that was 3.5
And
for.
If
for
no one
Nina,
else wants to be,
Just to go back, I'm just gonna go back for a second, just to make sure the record reflects that it's 3.5 for Nina and 3 for Jack. And now, as far as board clerk, I heard Alicia. Anyone else want to be board clerk?
I don't care if I am or I've been board clerk. It's a pretty, let's say it's not a very taxing position, so I don't mind doing it if Nina, if Alicia doesn't want to.
Well, I'm also happy to take a turn too. So
Okay, perfect.
you make it
So
look so
do we have 1 person nominated or 2? Susan, did you nominate yourself for board clerk?
Nope.
Okay, so it looks like we have one person for board clerk. Al, what do we do now?
Secretary cast 1 ballot for the board clerk.
Thank you. All right. Let's see, we have checking account signature. We need backup for the treasurer. Right now is Kevin Dirth and Brenda Comstock. And I think we just want to accept that again. Is that correct, Martha?
Yes,
Do you-
come July, we'll need to change Kevin off of there, but that'll be in July.
oh, I'll still do it.
Do we need a vote for that, or is that just part of this process? Martha? Do we
It
usually get a
should,
vote?
you should make a motion and vote on it, yes.
Okay, I'd like a motion for Kevin Dirth and Brenda Comstock to be the backup signatures for the checking account for MRUSD.
So moved.
Second, please.
I'll
Second.
Whoever.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7.5 to 0, right?
Or unanimous.
Or unanimous. Yeah, thanks. Okay, now what else? I've got people on my TV and I'm trying to find the agenda so I can refer to it. And that's, I think the other thing is other appointments and designations. Excuse me 1 second while I get totally stupid here. I don't have the names of all those positions. Kevin, do you have
Nelda?
them? You have
Nelda,
them in front of you?
I just sent you a text with it.
Well, I believe you, but, oh, here it is. Thank you.
Mhm.
I need the organizational sheet, though. That's the agenda. Sorry.
That's okay.
Can you read the organizational sheet to me, Kevin, please? So I
Yeah.
can we
don't-
share, can we share?
Brenda, can you do that?
Brenda or Martha, somebody?
Sure. So the organizational
Thank you.
sheet is stating that that you authorize the chair to sign teacher contracts. Authorization to sign other contracts are principals, business manager, superintendent, director of special ed, curriculum director, purchase orders by the accounting supervisor, the assistant superintendent, the student behavior director, and I believe the director of information and technology should be added to that list. The
Principals and directors so that everybody's covered.
Okay, so we'll change that to just say directors instead of listing them all individually.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on those people on that list? If not, we could take one big motion for all of them. Who would like to make that?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Second, there's a motion and second. Any further discussion on the other appointments and designations? Hearing none. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously. Somebody told me if I exit the full screen, I can see everything else.
Actually, if you minimize it, Nilda.
Well, I've got this now. So next item is the Code of Ethics. We have a copy of the Code of Ethics in our packet. And it's called the Code of Ethics for Vermont School Board Members. This is the Code of Ethics that we have adopted every year since I think they had it. The way it normally happens is you get a paper copy and you sign it. I think the way we have to do this tonight is we have to basically make a motion that says that by the act of making this motion, we are therefore authorizing that our signature means that we approve the code of conduct. Anybody have any questions on the code of ethics, code of conduct?
No, I just might mention, because this is so weird doing it through Zoom. It's a crucial document. It means a lot. It's followed throughout the state, and I urge everybody to look at it carefully and make sure they understand it before they vote tonight.
Okay. The agenda that I read, it did say earlier, I read it, that if we were to make the motion and approve it, that constitutes our signature.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Al, did you want to say something?
Yeah, what I was going to say is, first off, I think Kevin was suggesting that they make sure they read it, particularly Peter and Katie.
Okay.
And then we'll vote on it, and the motion be reading that we approve the code of ethics, that the authorization by the board and the vote would indicate that its approval and it represents our signature, etc. And Brenda will English it up better, but that's a motion I would place on the floor.
Okay. Does anybody need any additional time, or are they ready to vote on that motion? Okay, Al made a motion. Does anyone have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
So I have a question, Nilda. Any board members that weren't here today or Sue not able to vote, will she have to do that later? Or they have to do that later?
They probably should do that later, and could, we could either do it at another board meeting, or they could actually sign the form and submit it. Kevin, are you okay with that?
I'm thinking add it to the next board meeting for the rest of the.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever you all prefer. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the FY22 calendar. So basically, we have 2 meetings a month. The first, what?
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to set the places of programs that are going to be, like the messenger, the city hall,
Is that on the
room?
form too? I don't have the form, so I thought
Yeah,
we were done. I'm sorry.
those were additional items on that organization sheet that I hadn't got to yet.
Thank you.
There's
Thanks,
a
Al.
bunch of other things on that sheet that need to be filled in as well. Do you want me to go to the next set of items on there?
I think I have it now.
Okay.
Okay. We need to talk about hiring and terminating processes. Is that the next thing?
Yes.
Okay, so administrator, superintendent recommends to the board for approval. Teachers and professional staff, principals recommend to superintendent for approval. That's an FYI to the board. So we need to designate truant officers. BFA, who's the BFA truant officer today? Is the same person truant officer for all the schools typically? No?
Oh, is it the SRO?
Do we have people in place, Kevin, or somebody related to the truant officers?
We do, but I'm a little concerned that they may not know if they're not volunteering that.
So they're present at the meeting? Is that what I'm hearing?
SROs are also truant officers, so they would not be here.
And I thought also there was like a central office person that's also in charge of truancy, right?
Right now it's Alexis.
Okay. So is Alexis the person that would be the truant officer for BFA Fairfield City and Town Schools? Is Alexis here?
I am here.
Hey, Alexis.
Hi.
So welcome to your new position of truant officer.
Great. I oversee truancy. I'm just not used to being called an officer. So
oh, I
makes
think that's
total sense.
I think it's like a term from the 60s, but anyway, we'll get over it and we'll put you down as the person who oversees truancy. Thank you, Alexis.
Sounds great. Thank you.
And then our designated newspaper typically is the St. Albans Messenger. Are we okay with that? Okay, regular meetings are, as I started to say earlier, or the first and third Wednesday of every month, except for July and August. We only have a meeting on the third Wednesday. And we've even been known to cancel one of those if it's a slow day. So now we do look at those calendars and figure out if there's a holiday that falls on the first and third Wednesday, we usually try to move them. And usually by the time they present us that list of the FY22 calendar, some of that stuff has been managed. Has that been taken care of?
Yes.
Okay. And we can change these. I mean, it's not like these are carved in stone. If we need to make a change, long as we give appropriate notice to the appropriate newspapers and posting places, we can do that. So, one of the first things that new board members do when they come back from their first meeting is go and populate their calendars with all the board meetings, because you have to plan the rest of your life around that.
Hey, Nilda?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it was just this year with COVID or maybe just because I was a new board member, but I found it extremely stressful only having one meeting in the July and August leading up to the start of school. I didn't know if it would make sense to have 2 meetings every month on the calendar, in case there is still stuff up in the air at that point, and then remove them if necessary as they come up, if that might be a better approach this year.
I would support that.
Does anybody have a problem doing that? We'll just have them on the books as the first and third Wednesdays, and then if we happen to get lucky in the summer, we'll cancel, and if we are busy, we have it blocked off for meeting. Is everybody okay with that? Can we
I'd be
just do that?
looking
Can we do that
especially
by
at the
consensus?
administrators and the central office staff for buy-in on that, because I think that it puts them out probably more than the board members.
Yes,
Yeah.
Bill.
I just want people to remember, and that's fine, you do what you need to do. Don't expect that all administrators will be at all meetings.
That,
Every time they can get their vacation time in.
I was going to echo what Kevin said. I will tell you, I know I'm not the superintendent, but I will be at that time, and I would not require our administrative team to be at more than one meeting a month in July and August. When I think of folks that are really run down, the whole staff is, but these folks need some rest this summer to be ready to go for next year.
So
I mean,
even with that understanding, I think it makes sense to have them on the calendar.
Right.
And-
That's
and
an
that's-
administrative decision, Bill, as long as you
Okay.
you would make that with your staff.
Yep.
And-
No,
and
I
we
just
could-
wanted to, and I don't mind being there, but it's,
Yep. Can we, by consensus, agree to do that? Anybody have any objections?
I do.
Who's
It's
just
Susan.
starting
I
to
was gonna
talk?
say, I keep cutting out.
Okay,
Susan,
okay.
I keep cutting out, so I missed that last section about skipping both meetings in July and August, or just one?
We're talking about putting both meetings back on the calendar for July and August, and then canceling them when we get closer to those dates, because of the fact that we have, it's beginning of school. Grant came up with 2 or 3 good reasons, and what Bill pointed out, and as did Kevin, is that that's a vacation time for administrators, so we may not see all the administrators at those meetings, and he would only expect an administrator to come to 1 meeting a month, not 2. But he would be there as a superintendent. So
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I think that works for me. We'll see how busy we are and how much what we need to do at that time. I think it'll be evident, I think.
I think Al had some input.
Al, did you have something to say too?
Yeah, in my case, this doesn't matter, so, because I'm confined no matter what the situation is. But going the first and third, those 2 months that are high vacation times, it does, there's not much actual activity after June for big changes. So 1 meeting a month has been able to handle it. If there is a need for a second meeting, we always call them. I would think that we should stick with the calendar as we have it. And if we need an extra meeting, as we have done in the past, that we call the meeting then.
So I hear you. And you know what? I can go either way, because none of us have had a problem convening a meeting when we've needed to. And long as we have a quorum, we can have our meeting. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Nilda, if I may say something, there's one other
Yes.
thing to be aware of, and that is, personally, I think 1 is enough typically, but last summer was an anomaly because of COVID. And what's normally, there isn't a lot going on. But secondly, if you really truly think you are thinking of having 2 a month, it's better to have them on there, because if you put them on later, they become special meetings.
And
I see.
Nilda, I was just gonna say, for me, for my schedule, I really prefer to have it blocked off so that I can plan accordingly, just in case.
Okay, so I'm hearing that the consensus seems to be to put the meetings on the calendar, and then we'll cancel them if we don't need them. Can we go that route? Thank you.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second to the so moved?
I'll second.
You better second that, Grant.
I didn't realize it was going to a vote. I would have made the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So I guess we just approved the calendar. All right. So back to this form, that never-ending form here. The person responsible for taking minutes and getting them to the central office for posting. I'm thinking it's still Brenda. Is that correct? Thank you. Method of posting for special meetings. So those are meetings that we have to schedule within, is it 48 hours for a special meeting and 24 hours for an emergency meeting? Is that correct, Kevin?
24 hours for emergencies, to 48 for special, yes.
Thank you. So if we have to do that, we'd have to post at the central office, the St. Albans City Clerk, the St. Albans City School, BFA St. Albans Town Clerk, St. Albans Town Educational Center, Collins Pearly, Fairfield Clerk, Fairfield Library, and Fairfield Center School. And who gets that job to post all these? Is it electronically and then they print them and stick them on the walls?
As I believe it, Brenda sends it out to the appropriate people and they have it placed.
Okay. All right. Procedure for handling director's orders. So those are the warrants. So you probably saw in your packet what we call the warrants. Those are basically the bills that we're approving, and we approve those at almost every meeting. So what we used to do is we get electronic PDF sheets of all the documented payments, and we'd go through them and have a formal process of approving them and signing off on those warrants. Since COVID has gone into place, we now have this electronic process where we get them electronically and we approve them via a master motion, which goes something to the effect of motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as individual board member authorization of their signature on these warrants. So it's sort of the workaround that we put in place to accommodate the warrants. So the central office prepares the warrants and reviews the warrants weekly. They prepare the checks, the school treasurer signs, the central office mails the checks, and the full board reviews, votes to approve, and signs. And that signs is kind of in quotes right now because we're doing it via this sort of big motion. Now, when you get those in the mail, email electronically, and you review them, you can call the central office and talk to Martha or one of her designees for assistance if you have questions. After about 3 years, you become familiar with the bills and you know who the vendors are and you kind of know when something's out of whack. And you might ask a question of something that might be out of whack. When we merged to the MRUSD, obviously our budget got higher, our bills got higher, and everything got higher. It's a little more challenging to sort of have an independent memory of things, but you kind of get used to this stuff. So anyway, that's the process for that. And Martha and her team prepares those warrants for us. And then there's the approval of purchasing procedures. Notwithstanding the bid and contract requirements specified by law, authority to issue purchase orders is as follows. Okay, the supervisory union and school administration, when the cost is below the 16 VSA threshold currently set at 15,000, that's when the SU and the school administration can sign off. The superintendent and central office designee is when it's above, well, when it's below $25,000. The central office designee with a school district board approval when it's above $25,000. So what it says is the amounts above relate to costs. For example, the total cost of a 2-year lease at $13,000 per year would be $26,000. However, total cost of $13,000 contract with option years for renewal would only be $13,000. So it's an annualized number. So that's telling us what that's all about. And then we need to approve grant authorization letter. So it says additional grants up to and including $1,000 approved by the administration, grants above $1,000 approved by board as part of a consent agenda. So there's an attached letter. Martha, do we have to do anything with the letter? Do you know?
If it's
right.
included in this motion, you'll be all set.
Right. It'll be included in the full motion for all of these items.
Okay, well, if I ever get through this sheet, we're gonna make one big motion that covers everything that didn't get covered by individual motions, okay?
Correct.
And then we have on here field trips. So principals always approve, always pre-approve field trips. And for any out-of-country field trips, the superintendent also needs to approve and an FYI to the board. So I believe I've reached the end of this sheet. So
No.
I would like a motion to cover the acceptance and or approval of everything we just talked about in this form, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. God, we got through that. All right, we're at the visitor section of our agenda. I would like to just take a minute to have the administrators that are here tonight introduce themselves, because we have at least 2 board members that don't know all of you. And also there might be some public that aren't here. And I'm going to start with, what am I going to start with? Good Lord, the Hollywood squares are haunting me tonight. Joan.
What do you want me to say, Nilda?
So I would like you to state your name and what your position is and how long you've been in that role, please. And anything else you'd like to add that's fun.
Oh God, no, that's too hard. I'll just do my name and my role. So I'm the principal at St. Albans City School, and this is my 13th year at the school.
Thank you. Leanne?
That darn mute button every time. Good evening, everyone. Leanne Wright, Director of Northwest Career and Technical Center. I've been director for 10 years, but I've been at the school for 16. And I'd like to welcome you.
Thank you. Stacy?
I'm Stacy Rouleau. I'm the assistant principal at St. Albans City School. I have been in this role for 4 years and at the school for over 25.
Thank you. Brett?
I'm not sure if I should welcome you or you welcome me. This is my first year at the school and BFA St. Albans. I'm the principal and my 34th year in education.
Thank you. Martin?
Hi, I'm Martin Katam. I'm the Director of Technology and Innovation. I've been here almost a year now.
Thank you. Heather Ann?
Hi, I'm Heather Ann Odell. I am the principal at Fairfield Center School. I've been in the role for 4 years now.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I lost my cursor. Hi, I'm Stephanie Ripley. I'm the director of the Early Childhood Program. This is my first year in this role, but I've been an SLP in the district for 10 years.
Thank you. Is it Andrea? Did I say that correctly?
Yes, thank you. Andrea Rasick, Director of Special Education. This is my second year in this position. I started as a special educator in the district in 2003.
Thank you. Angela?
Hi, I'm Angela Stebbins. I'm the principal at St. Albans Town Educational Center, and this is my 15th year as principal at SATEC. Welcome to Maple Run Board.
Thank you. Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa DeRocher. I'm the Assistant Director at the Northwest Career and Technical Center, and I've been here for 6 years, and welcome.
Thank you. Alexis.
Hi, Katie and Peter. Alexis, Student Support Director for the district. It's a new position, so this is year 2. I am not a trained educator. I've actually worked in the education and mental health field for 15 years.
Thank you. Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Katam. Yes, connected to the other Katam in the Hollywood squares. This is my second year at BFA as the Assistant Principal of Curriculum and Instruction.
Thank you. Heather.
Hi, welcome. I'm Heather Fitzgibbons. I'm the other assistant principal at BFA, and this is my 5th year.
Katie Campbell.
Didn't mean to turn off the camera, sorry.
I was just gonna say, you disappeared. Come back, you're gonna screw up my order.
Well, I'm not an administrator.
No, you're not, but you're.
But that's okay. I'm co-president of the Maple Run Education Association. I've been at SATEC as a teacher for 22 years, and I try to attend these meetings as regularly as I can. My husband has a better track record than I do, but I do my best.
Thank you. Jason?
Sure. Jason Therian. I'm the assistant principal at SATEC. I'm in my 11th year in that role and my 14th year as an administrator in the district.
Thank you. Tim?
Tim Fians, director of the Collins Pearly. I'm going on year 2, although I've been there almost 23 years now. And Katie and Peter, welcome to the MRUSD.
Have I hit all the administrators? And oh, you know who I didn't get is where is he? Mike Campbell. Mike. That would be
I
you,
am
Mike.
Mike Campbell, and I do know Peter from years ago and being a colleague and as teachers. And hi to Katie. Welcome to the group. I am chief negotiator for the MREA and continue in that role as I've done for a long time in the past. So maybe we'll see you on a negotiating session down the road. So
Thank you. Bill? Bill?
Yes, sorry. Slow the button. I didn't know if I'd spoken a few times. Bill Kimball, I'm the assistant superintendent for Maple Run. Welcome, Katie and Pete. This is my 2nd year.
Thank you. And Kevin, just for completion's sake.
I'm Kevin Durth, superintendent of schools here at Maple Run. I've been in this role for 7 years and 45 years in public education.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all for indulging that. We're at the visitor section of our agenda. We do have some people here. I'd like to continue on our tradition of having you raise your hand if you wish to speak in the visitor section. And if you do, I'll do my, oh, I'm sorry, Tim, why don't you introduce yourself, please? Tim Smith.
Thank you, Nilda. I'm actually calling as a parent, but I serve as mayor of St. Albans City, and I'm the director of Franklin County Industrial Development.
Thank you. All right, so as far as the visitor section go, if you have something you'd like to address the board with, if you could raise your hand now, you will be given an opportunity to speak. The answer is yes to that question. I'm not seeing any hands unless I'm missing something. Oh, Tim, thank you.
Thanks, Nilda. I just want to touch on 2 things regarding a couple things at the city school. And I've had a couple parents reach out to me that they were very disappointed that the city school is not having basketball teams for 5, 6, or 7, 8 this year. Yet, from what I understand, both town and Fairfield are having teams. Yet, you know, I thought we did the Maple Run district for equal opportunity for all, yet we have kids who are very disappointed, and I think this is a great opportunity for them to experience some normalcy, if you will. And so I wanted to, I'm not sure if the board was aware of that, but I think it's something that could be remedied. You have dozens and dozens of schools around the state that are playing basketball, both on the elementary level or the junior high level and the high school level. I don't understand, as do the parents that have reached out to me, as to why the city school cannot have basketball this late winter and early spring. So that was one question. The other one that came up, and my children have harped on it multiple times, is they want to know why they can't have gym class in the gym. I understood early on it was full of furniture, but from what I understand, it's now cleaned out and gym class is being held in a classroom. Once again, if we're looking to get some kids some normalcy, I don't understand why we're putting classes in a classroom for the gym class when the gymnasium could be available. So those are two things that I wanted to reach out. I don't know what the response might be, but I think it's unfair for, relative to basketball, to have two schools in the district playing and the city school not playing. So I guess I'd be interested to hear any comments.
Okay, so typically we sort of receive commentary from the public. We don't necessarily address that. I will make sure the right people look into it and get back to you so you can share a response with the folks that talk to you. I will give our administration an opportunity to jump in now if they want to or are prepared to, but you're not required to because we haven't done that in the past. So
Understandable. Thank you, Nilda. And just one last thing, congratulations to Peter, Nilda, Susan, and Katie for your elections as well.
Thank you very much.
Nilda, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Can we
Go
just
ahead.
put it on the agenda for the next agenda that will follow up?
That's a great idea.
Thank
you. Thank you.
So
right,
Nilda, I was hoping it was going to come up in the organizational part of the meeting, but to follow up on Susan's suggestion, what do you?
You went off, Grant.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. We couldn't hear anything.
Am I back?
Yes.
Your voice is back. Yeah. We didn't get any of that at all.
Oh, so I was just following up on Susan's comment, and I was hoping there had been time to talk about it during the organizational part of the meeting, but it's always sort of frustrated me that we have public comment without immediate response. And I understand why that is, but I was thinking a compromise might be that anytime we have a public comment, to automatically put it on the agenda for the following meeting.
I think that's a great idea. Anybody have any objections to that? Administrators are not allowed to comment.
Good idea.
Thank you all. Great. That way we don't lose it. Even if the answer is we don't have an answer, at least we've addressed it for people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any
Nilda.
other visitors with any comments? Raise your hand, please. I'm not seeing any.
I do think I need to add one point to it. What you said is fine, but let's not forget that we have a policy around complaints and concerns, and we should be following that. And that policy says that when there's a complaint, it should go directly to the person involved, which in this case would be Joan. And it shouldn't skip to the board, which it now has, and now it's become a board case before the person, in this case, Joan, has had a chance to respond or to do anything about
it. So I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, except we provide an opportunity for the community to speak. And if they're going to share something,
that's fine. But then your policy says, your board's policy says that it goes back to the appropriate person to deal with the issue.
And that can't that happen at a board level, that that person can just report to us all, so we all get the answer?
But instead of the issue of actually city school and basketball, could the issue being reported out to the team next meeting be from the different schools returning to normalcy, or what the plans are for reestablishing these different activities in different ways? So instead of it being one school being addressed, what if every school is able to share that during the COVID portion or update during a meeting? Could that be acceptable?
It's up to the board.
Question.
That's a good question. What'd you say, Al?
That's not the question.
Yeah, but if everybody,
Right.
for example, if everyone were to report on their sports activities, it would be pretty obvious what the answers are to all this and the reasons behind it. I think
I don't want to
So-
get into it.
I think this is a process thing that I think as a new board, we're gonna have to talk about all of this a little bit more than to just try to figure it out tonight. We know what Tim has asked, and we know who the right people are to respond to Tim, and we'll make sure that happens.
Right.
And
I think that's, you know, we can follow what Kevin is saying. I appreciate what Kevin's point is about chain of command. And we don't necessarily have to provide a definitive answer to Tim at the next board meeting, but we can also say that, you know, Joan or whatever the issue was, that, you know, person with the proper chain of command will be in touch with you to provide you what, you know, the answer that you're looking for. So I think we can still follow it respectfully, but we can still make sure that, I think, if anything, what Grant is suggesting is that we're making a point to, it's a accountability for us to make sure that we are responding to a concern. However that response happens, it can happen with it needs to happen within the chain of command, and I support what Kevin's saying with that.
Joanna said it better than I. That's what I meant. If now the board should bring this back to the person it should go to, which is John, to deal with that and to talk to him.
Absolutely.
I do also feel, though, like it's important for the board to know what is going on, so that if community members have concerns, that we're aware of it versus this is the first time we're hearing about it. So definitely going back to Joan, and then some sort of follow-up that it's been resolved at the next meeting or whatever happened. Just to close that loop.
Respectfully, I did do that at the last meeting when we had sports under COVID-19 update. I talked about the fact that we had all our high school people back. We were not able, for several structural reasons within the schools, be able to have all of the elementaries back. And city was one that we couldn't get that done. So respectfully, we did talk about.
So if I can maybe amend my recommendation slightly, if maybe instead of simply adding automatically whatever the basic concern was to the agenda for the next meeting, if it would make sense that after public comment, we have a brief period for board discussion to determine exactly what to add to the agenda. If it's a follow-up on an action, you know, if there's a issue that's raised, you know, at the public meeting, I think it makes sense to at least report the resolution also at a public meeting in case, you know, folks are interested. So we can report out on what happened. And then, you know, to Alicia's point, if there is a broader issue, that might be what actually makes it onto our agenda for discussion. And we could, you know, take, you know, a few moments after the visitor comment section to figure out what exactly that is.
Well, actually, Grant, there's that section item 10 on our agenda, which is agenda items for next meetings. That would be the opportunity for a board member to say, I'd like an update on sports, basketball, sports in all the schools or something like that. So
yeah, I think it's important to tie it back.
And I would agree, like Kevin, in response to your response. It's not, for me, it's not so much about this specific incident, but that we're kind of closing the loop about, again, questions that have been brought before the board.
And I will end it this way. I ask you, if you have not read that policy, it's your responsibility to have read it and see what it says, because my job is to follow the policies you've put into place. And the policy is very clear. It hasn't come to your level. It is to go to the person, in this case, the principal. If the person doesn't, if the complainant does not have or does not get satisfaction, does not believe it works, he then goes to the next step, which is the superintendent. And if that still doesn't get him where he needs to go, he goes to the board. And unless you want to change that policy, that's my job to tell you and make sure that we try to follow that. And the same thing would happen as if there was a complaint about a teacher. If it was a complaint about the teacher and they went to the principal would say the first step is, have you talked to the teacher? Because most things get taken care of that way. And if not, it moves up the chain of command. So all I'm trying to do, and I know I'm beginning to sound like negative Nelly, and I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to make sure we're following board policy.
Yeah, no, I totally understand the chain of command. That's not, I totally get the chain of command. It's what I would tell one of my, if I was a supervisor, I'd say, you know, after you've had the discussion with them, come back to me and we'll, you know, if we need to, we'll go from there. So I totally understand the chain of command, Kevin.
So right now we're obligated to follow our policy. I guess I would ask that everybody just do another quick read of that policy. And if it seems like we need to change processes, then we need to request the policy come forward for a review. That work? And our handy dandy Brenda has just sent us a link to that policy. So the policy is there for you to read on your own time later. Okay, any other visitor comment? I'm hoping no. No, just kidding. All right, we've gotten beyond visitors. Now we're up to the consent agenda. There are 2 items on the consent agenda. Minutes from teacher negotiation from February 16th and board negotiations from February 17th. Does everybody understand what a consent agenda is? Peter, Katie, you require any explanation? Basically, we just approve it, we bless it, and just say we actually adopt the consent agenda, and that means everything is approved. If anybody on the board has any issues with anything on the consent agenda, they can request to pull it out and we can talk about it independent of the consent agenda. So anyone have any issues with the consent agenda? Hearing none, I need the consent agenda will be adopted. We don't need a motion for that. All right, thank you. Oh, old business, update on negotiations. I'm going to ask Bill to give us an update, please.
Thanks, Nilda. Nilda, can I indulge you and the board? We missed an administrator and when we were circling around, and that's Martha. I don't know how.
Oh, geez, I'm staring at
over her
on my screen and everything. I'm so sorry.
Actually, we missed Lisa too, didn't we?
No, I thought you got Lisa. I was taking them off as we were going around, but I also had help of my colleagues on this at this meeting and was tapped on the shoulder.
I guess we forgot Brenda too. I just got reminded.
That too, yeah.
All right, Martha.
Yeah, so I'm Martha Gagne. I'm the business manager. I've been with the school district for 28 years now and 17 years in this position.
Okay, and Brenda just told me she's not an administrator and we don't care. We want you to introduce yourself also. And you have to show us a picture rather than your dog.
I think I'm up there. I'm Brenda Comstock. I am executive assistant to Kevin and I work with the board, so you'll hear from me a lot. Usually more than you want to.
Thank you. Brenda and Martha, you have my apologies for having missed you. If we didn't have Hollywood Squares and you were physical people in a room, I could have done that easier. But as soon as somebody turns their microphone off or starts talking, you start moving.
And Nilda, just one more. We missed one of the co-presidents of the MREA, Keith Jackson.
Oh, I didn't
He's
know
on
Keith was here.
Yeah, he's here.
Did he come late?
He's lurking in the background. No, he came in at the beginning, but.
Oh, he's the one whose last name is iPad. Gotcha. Keith.
Hello, I'm Keith Jackson. I'm the other co-president, and I got a feeling somebody sent a text to Bill to remind him that I was here. Anyway, I've been teaching at BFA this is my 17th year as a math teacher.
Thanks, Keith. You also have my apologies. And
No worries.
If the board has I think is it 72 hours to rescind any vote that they've made. So if you want to get rid of me as chair, you got 72 hours to do it. Oh God, thank you.
Thank you, Nilda. Yeah, no, thank you, Nilda. I just thought, I loved how you got everyone's voice in the meeting. So I thought we should get the last few, so.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So do you want me to do, Jack's not here, so should I do both the
Yep.
ESP?
That's why I
Oh,
texted
sorry,
you.
Al, I should have asked you. Okay.
I gave you 5 minutes notice, so.
Yeah, you did. So we have had 3 negotiation sessions for ESP. Al or Alicia, correct me if I'm wrong, or Keith or Martha. And we've had 2 for teachers. We've exchanged proposals and have been working on them. I think we've worked on quite a few in ESP and have settled some and tabled some. We are meeting with ESP negotiations next Monday, my calendar says. I saw a nice nod from Alicia, so I must be correct. And Al, there we go. And then the following Tuesday, which would be March 15th, I believe, we have a teacher, I may have the date wrong, but we have a teacher negotiation, either the 15th or 16th. I don't have my calendar open. I'm kind of doing it from memory. Things have been going well. The team's working well together from my standpoint, but I would ask any of the negotiation members to either confirm or deny what I just said, but I think we're making good progress. What else should I add, Nilda, that I didn't put on the table?
I think you did a good job.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we have the Fy20 audit. Martha, would you like to take us through that? Martha Gagne, business manager extraordinaire.
I can if you just wanted to skip over yesterday's vote results. That's on the
Oh,
agenda
sorry,
first.
I'm going off my paper here and it says vote, but that's all I said. Kevin, would you like to take us through the vote results, please?
I will. It was a nice night last night for our budget. I would like to think it was a vote of confidence for all that the staff and you and all of us together have done through this year and got through this year. As you know, it was not an easy budget, especially for town because of the CLA. Yet I'll give you the numbers now. These are now official numbers as of this afternoon for everything. For clerk, Anna Berdone got 2,575 votes. For treasurer, Amanda Forbes, who also ran unopposed, got 2,471 votes. For St. Albans Town Director, Katie Delorier-Messier got 1,612 votes. Jennifer Williamson received 893, and that was for one person to be elected. For St. Albans City Director, where 2 people were to be elected, Peter Delorier got 1,711 votes. Nilda Ganella French got 1,538 votes. Rare Erickson received 918 votes. For Fairfield Director, Susan Cassidy-Magnan, who ran unopposed, received 2,414 votes. For the three main money articles, Article 4, and I sometimes get them confused, but I think that was borrowing, allowing to borrow money. Yes, 2,252. No, 564. Article 5, which is the article on being able to transfer funds into the capital reserve. Yes, 2,356. No, 464. In Article 6, which was our budget, yes was 1,674. No was 1,148. So again, thanks all of you for all the work that was put into that, and I think it shows in the results last night.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha and Kevin. And Bill, good job.
Everybody.
Okay, now I think we're up to acceptance of the FY20 audit. Martha, can you take us through?
Sure. I don't think you want me to go through the whole document. You have it attached and it's there for your reading pleasure. I just want to make a note that at the very end is where the auditors would indicate whether or not there were any audit findings, and there were no audit findings this year. Also, if you're interested, on page 5, it shows that we ended up with added to our fund balance of $419,000 from FY20. That's the amount after we spent about $700,000 in capital reserve type of expenditures, most of that being the Fairfield School project. And other than that, unless anybody has any questions, it's all right there for your reading pleasure.
Thank you. So that's part of our process. Every year we have an annual review of our budgeting process by, what was it again?
It's Cattell, Brannigan, and Sargent.
Cattell, Brannigan, and Sargent. And so it's an external auditor who comes in and looks at our stuff, and part of our process is to accept that audit. So I would like a motion to accept the FY20 audit, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Or doesn't matter.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Nice job with the work, since we had no findings. That's excellent. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Nilda, I have a quick question before we, sorry, it's Nina.
Sure.
I know, Martha, these used to be these great big honking books used to pass out. Are they still available if people need to go?
Yes.
Okay.
I have probably a dozen bound copies on the table over here. So if anybody is interested in having a bound copy, just let me know and I will put one in the mail to you. Otherwise, you have the attachment on attached to the agenda, which is the exact same document.
And they're available to the public too if they want.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's all. Thank you. Sorry, Nilda.
Thanks, Nina. All in favor? I don't know if we voted or not. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries unanimously for those that are voting. And then we have item C, the district band acquisition. Kevin, are you taking us through that?
No, Bill will.
Bill?
Thanks, Nilda. Appreciate it. We have had some student needs for transportation. We've always had some that need individual transportation needs at all of our schools. And this year with COVID, we've had probably about the same amount or a little bit more. And we've relied on independent taxis for that and our own vans that we already own at Saks and at some of our other schools. I know Northwest Tech has some vans as well. Martha and I, mainly mainly Martha. Let me give this to Martha. And along with Angela Stebbins, have been doing some analysis of the needs at SATEC, and that we're finding our needs for students for individual transportation have increased for several student needs. And from looking at those, and we started to look at another outside contractor to provide it. And Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, but Martha and I were talking today, and we think it was the organization we're looking at was looking at about $600 per day price for providing individual student transportation. Is that right, Angela? It was somewhere in that neighborhood?
I think that was closer to a week, but that only covered a small aspect
A
of it.
week, right?
Yeah.
A small aspect day. But when Martha and ran some numbers and we started to look at it, it became more apparent, especially with some state contracting for 7-passenger vans, so minivans, that it would be better in the short term with some of the cash flow we've had, because we've had a lack of transportation that we had budgeted for this year, and in the long run would save us money overall for the district for providing some transportation for students if the district were to purchase a van. We're planning to come back next board meeting. I know how the board is traditionally like to have a couple meetings to think this over. We would take any questions tonight, but come back to the next board meeting with an action, a potential action for the board to approve the purchase of a van, another van, I should say, of the vans we have in our fleet. Martha, what did I forget from our conversation that we had this morning and previously over the past few weeks?
I think the only thing that I wanted to mention is that we are looking at going through a state contract, so that way we don't have to go through the whole RFP and bid process. And it's the same process we did when we purchased the van for the St. Albans City Schools.
Bill, could you let us know how many vans we currently have and where are they? If you know, I'm sorry. Or if you could just add that into the report when you come back.
I'll add it into let me bring it back next time, John. I could guess, but
Fine.
I'd rather not.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Yep.
So what you're doing is basically floating the idea, looking for questions, and then it'll come back as an action item in the future.
That's correct. We need the board because it's over the $25,000 part that you just reapproved for this year.
Yep.
That we need board action to happen on this.
Gotcha.
I have a question, Bill. I don't know if Bill or Angela.
Yeah.
So is this period of time for that $600 either for a week or day, whatever, is that over this past year that has proven to be a need, or is this a longer period of time?
Needs have been growing. Needs have been growing, Nina, and I'll let Angela jump in here as well, but student needs have been growing for individual transportation. I can't, to protect the students, I got to kind of stay out of the reasons why, but
no, understood.
Yeah, and so it just is going to work a lot better operationally, and we think monetarily from the work that Martha has done in the long run, it's going to save the district money. So we saw it as a win-win.
This would be designated right for SATEC, kind of going off for.
It'll be owned by Maple Run, so we want it to be able to be used across the district.
Okay.
And we try to do that with our other vans right now. It's easier said than done, but we try to do that with our others. And SATEC.
Oops.
Oh, good. It's not me.
No, I think he just locked up.
Sachs has been helping. Am I back?
You are now.
You're back now.
Yep.
I'll turn off my video there. You can look at my nicer picture. Sorry about that, but the need's been increasing throughout the year, Nina, and it's just been something that we think this is the best way to solve it.
Yeah, but the vans now are the vans from the city or wherever they are currently being used.
They are being used, and that's part of the problem is we're having conflicts. It's not any individual school, it's just the amount of use that's happening.
Gotcha.
and scheduling and getting across town. I could go into the myriad of reasons, but Martha and I and Kevin were talking about it and she said we think this is probably the best way to go all in all, monetary and operationally.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I would just request that if you're planning on like some sort of ROI calculation, something like that, if it's fine to do it against 2020, but also please do it against, a more normal year like 2018.
So we didn't really do that, Grant. We're not doing a full ROI. We're looking at the amount of trips and what the cost is for the trips. I
Yeah,
haven't done a return. We usually don't. I could go do an ROI. I haven't been asked to do one of those in years.
or maybe just, if you're doing a cost comparison, then, if you're comparing against, operating costs, if you use 2020 as your comparator, you may come out more favorable than if you used a more normal year.
I actually,
Yeah.
I
Extend
actually think
the
we'll,
period.
I actually think we'll come in. It'll be better with the 2020 would be worse than the other years for the number of student trips.
Yeah, and it's student dependent. So Grant, it's if you have students that need transportation, then Angela needs to address that now. And that could change because a student can move in the course of, a day, and a student can move out in the course of a day. And all of a sudden, you don't need that, or you need another van. So it's a different situation.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions related to that item? Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. It's the warrants. I don't know, Katie and Peter, you may not have had the opportunity to review the warrants because you may not have had them for very long. Is that the case, or have you had the opportunity?
That's the case with me, Nelda. I haven't had time to read them.
Myself.
So it's fine if you two end up abstaining, and if Susan abstained and Jack's not here, we're down 3.5 votes. So we have 5.5. So we're okay. That's enough that's a majority. So that can approve the warrant. We can approve the warrants with your guys abstaining. So you're not holding up any process, just for your information. So can I have a motion to approve the warrants?
I move that we approve the warrants, and as the authorization of approval indicates that we are authorizing our signature as proof of approving the warrants.
Okay, I have a motion. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
So
Joanna.
I'm told that if we are going to have abstentions, we need to do a roll call vote.
Right.
So are we ready to vote? Jack's not here. Al?
Yay.
Grant?
Yay.
Alicia?
Yay.
Peter? Abstain? Katie?
Abstain.
Nina?
Yay.
Joanna?
Yay.
Susan?
I can't vote.
She can't vote. So she's kind of like it's not really an abstention, it's sort of a null. And I say yay. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yays, 2 abstentions, and 1 no. I don't know what it is otherwise. What is it, Al? If she can't vote.
You have 5.5 for.
So you've got
5.5, 5.5.
And you and Nina as 4 votes. Who's your 5th vote?
It's Al, Grant, Alicia,
Okay,
Nina, and Joanna.
Okay, so you've got 5 votes.
4.5. 4.5.
4.5.
5.5.
And I would say for the record, Susan does not count. She's
correct.
Not a voting member right now.
Right.
So it's not a
So I'm
no.
not a no.
Right. So we really have a possible 7 votes, correct? Tonight. And we have 4.5 yeses and 2 abstentions. That doesn't add up though. We have 5 yeses and 2 abstentions.
Yeah, we need another half vote.
Possible.
Okay, somebody else is going to do the math for us in the minutes. we know that we have it approved. And no one's allowed to not come to any meetings, okay? I need all of you here so my math works correctly. Superintendent report, Kevin, please.
Well, we did not put a COVID-19 update today, mainly because of today and everything that was going on. And there really wasn't that much, given there was a vacation. The only thing I just want to make sure everyone knows is from the last conference that Governor Scott had, that it does look like educators now will be vaccinated starting, I believe, next week, March 8th.
Yep.
Yeah, next Monday.
The whole idea behind that is, I think there's an ulterior motive, but it's a good thing. And because they really do want to try to get students back, I predict by April vacation to some degree. And the only way that can be done in any way is through the vaccination of our educators. I still don't think that's enough. If they keep the 6-foot rule,
right,
I still think there's going to be an issue. And I'm going to let them work that out. But it's a good thing that we're getting our educators vaccinated over the next few weeks.
Right. Thank you. So I listened to that governor's conference, and that lady is, I don't know if she's a commissioner, Squirrel, painted a pretty bleak picture of where things are at. A little bit different than sort of the picture that we get, I guess, but I guess it's more global and more for the whole state of Vermont. But I know from the hospital perspective, we hear a little bit of the negative stuff that's happening for kids because we see them. But it sounded, kind of heartbreaking in some situations as to how bad things really are. So I think it's great that teachers are going to get vaccinated, because I think that's the key to our success. And maybe we can actually have a face-to-face meeting sometime before Labor Day. Thank you.
Nilda?
Yes. Who's that, Joanna?
Yes, there's just two things I wanted to bring up. One was a question, and one is to bring up again. I've already brought this up a couple of times this school year, and it was around my concern around the calendar. And I was assured that it was only a 6-day difference in terms of the cohorts between middle school and high school, that there was only a 6-day difference. And that's just not, that has not become the reality. And currently, at the beginning of the school year, my concern was with the Thursday, Friday group. And now my concern is with the Monday, Tuesday group. And I can speak to that not only as an educator, but also as a parent. And that right now, our Monday, Tuesday group, I don't think I'm being inaccurate here, is about 3 weeks behind the Thursday, Friday group. And specifically, they just got about 6 days worth of work, remote work, without any direct instruction. And I think that we need to look at it. I know that the school year is coming to an end, but there are ways to address this. Like this week, for instance, we came back on Wednesday, and so there's school Thursday and Friday. And instead of there being only the cohort B coming to school, you could have cohort A come on Thursday and cohort B come on Friday. And that provides in-person learning for both cohorts. And, I've been assured that this wasn't a problem, but I'm going to respectfully disagree. And I think it is a problem. And I'm talking to other educators, and they're concerned as well. And I'd like there to be another, I would like it to be looked at again, please. And I'd like to talk about it.
So are you requesting that to be on a future agenda?
Yeah, sure.
Does everyone understand the issue, or how could we label this as an agenda item?
Equity.
Calendar,
In-person learning equity, you know?
calendar cohort equity.
Sure, cohort equity, sure.
Okay. All right.
And when we say 6 days sounds like, oh, it's just 6 days, but 6 days in remote learning is 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So your K through 5 kids, I know it's not, as much of an issue because they're going to school 4 days a week. But your middle and high school students, which is where, Nilda, you were talking about lots of increase in mental health issues and referrals and whatnot. These kids are there. It's really, my kid's going to be out of school for 3 weeks right now because she's Monday. Both of my children are Monday, Tuesday, and luckily academically they do fine. So I'm, it's not my issue. But it's concerning for other students. It's really concerning.
All right, thank you for bringing that up. We're at the part of our agenda that we call board announcements. This is the opportunity for the board to bring up any special thing. We usually can count on Susan to give us an update on a ski team and where they're at BFA, because she follows that pretty closely. And we have other people that have other sort of pet projects that they like to mention. So I'd like to open that up for board announcements, please. Don't let me down.
Okay, so yesterday I was supposed to work a ski race. It was 20 below with the wind chill. Halfway up, we didn't do it. That's all.
Probably a good move.
It's a good move.
Yeah.
Well,
any other?
Yeah, I'll mention the fact that on March 5th from 2:30 to 4:30, there's a popcorn sale at BFA at the Connector. If you haven't got it on Facebook, be sure to support. It's for the boosters, I believe. And I think it's $2 a bag, but it's a fantastic popcorn.
That's good.
Thanks, Al.
Anyone else?
Should we drop off a couple of bags for you, Al?
I'm hopefully more. Yeah, absolutely.
Any other board announcements? The only thing I'd like to mention, I pulled it up here, but my phone doesn't. First of all, I think we all got it. Jeff sent us a sort of a future thoughts memo, and I don't know if y'all got to read it, but I thought it was fantastic, and he sort of centered us and brought us back a little bit. And just for review, he says we should review the 5-year plan and have it updated. So I'd like to suggest that we get that on a future agenda sooner rather than later. He's also asked us to go back to the technology plan and see where we are at. And we have our technology person, Martin, is that right? That probably, if he hasn't seen that already, should see that. And then the other thing was he just asked us to be kind to our new superintendent, but he asked us to get students involved with the board again, even if they can't be at every school board meeting. And he sort of ended it with they remind us why we exist. And I thought that was just a really nice way for him to close his comments. So I don't want to lose that. I also had a conversation, I think I was talking to Nina earlier today and talking about that I really would like to do a board retreat sometime when people actually can be face to face again. So I don't know when that's going to be, but future items with something that helps us to talk about things that sometimes bug us. I think, policy governance is one of those things where we've come to accept it, but a lot of people have a hard time with it. Sometimes I do too, because we lose a little bit of local control, and we feel sometimes that we're sort of blessing the process. And I facetiously said, sometimes I feel like I could write the minutes before the meeting even occurs, right? Because we kind of know what is going to happen at the meeting, because my background in the last 20 years has been process improvement and doing that, continuous quality improvement stuff. And although, I don't practice what I preach, they often say that stirring the pot, getting things going a little bit, is the way that you can help make change. So, maybe we can do a little work with that and have somebody come and facilitate some type of board retreat that talks about that. I don't know, just a little idea that I was kind of thinking about. But anyone else have anything for future items for the future agendas?
No,
I've just got one.
Sorry, go ahead,
I've
Susan.
got one quick question. Nilda, did you just suggest that you don't stir the pot?
No, I suggested that you do stir the pot.
No, that you don't ever stir the pot.
Oh, I do stir the pot, but I stir the pot more at work than I do here. It's kind of my job to stir the pot at work, but yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Who's next?
Nilda, just to make sure the SRO study
Yes.
committee was coming, and just want to make sure that's on next
That's
time. And
supposed to be our next meeting.
Yep, and just to remind people that the next meeting is tomorrow, March 4th from 5 to 6:30, and the link is right on the Maple Run page.
So has anyone actually on the board actually attended one of the meetings in by link, or have we just watched it after the fact? We kind of purposefully did not put someone on the board on that committee to make it sort of be something that we got presented to, but there's no harm in going to a meeting and being a listener just to hear it firsthand, or watching it on the link that's provided to us later. I just wanted to mention that. But are we going to have Kevin, do you know, is it going to be the facilitator that's going to come and report to us, or they have a chairperson?
I do not believe it's the facilitator. I think it's the chair people who are coming on. Alexis, you're on. Am I accurate?
Yes, it's going to be the chair and the co-chair that are coming to present. And if I could add just a really quick piece, I don't want to speak out of turn, but the meeting tomorrow is solely a public forum meeting.
Oh,
so
it is
so the whole hour and a half is just going to be dedicated to public comment and discussion.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Alexis.
So I misspoke. I'm sorry about that. All right. Any other items for future agendas?
Yep. I would like to add, we began a pathway of conversation around social emotional learning with hiring Alexis, and that has kind of, fallen by the wayside. And I know that social emotional learning is a huge priority, but I don't think that we've really heard much about what is happening and the process in which things are happening, and what's in store for the future in terms of shared curriculum, or whatever the choices are.
Okay, thank you. I think I was interviewed by Michelle Monroe and told her that I thought it was really important for us to do implicit bias training. So I better say that I want to get that on the agenda too for the board. And I know some administrators and teachers are already getting that kind of training, but it wouldn't hurt us to get some overview of that. I know we talked about it a couple of years ago, Joan. I think we were at City School when you were reviewing, was it logical consequences or something, some sort of process with us. And but I would like to see if we could continue that work, because I know I could use it, and we probably all could. What was the name of what I'm talking about, Joan? Do you remember?
Is that the conscious discipline stuff we went
Thank
over?
you. Yes, yes. But there was also some stuff about implicit bias in that, as I recall. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think I would like to have a review the policy on public participation at board meetings and how that interfaces with our complaint system.
Okay,
Just to make sure that we're doing everything we can and doing it by the rules.
sure. Sounds good. We might not have all of these at the same board meeting because some of these are a little bigger than
Getting kind of
others,
crowded.
Well,
just so you all know.
just
And-
add, a lot of the things that were talked about, which are really great things, and we do want to get that out to people, such as the SEL work, some of the academic work as we move forward, all of that. Please don't forget, we're still in the middle of COVID. We're processing right now an awful lot of stuff that are being mandated by us through the governor relative to how we're going to get our kids back on track for next year. The administrators are under the gun in that they have to have certain information in a month or so to 6 weeks, which includes SEL, which includes the academic and how we're going to move forward. I don't want to throw too much on them. However, at the same point, there's going to come a point where we're going to do a huge presentation with you about all this, because it's going to be part of the process with the state as far as how we're moving forward with curriculum and with getting kids back on track.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question. What's SEL?
Social emotional learning.
Oh, duh. Thank you. Too many acronyms. Yeah, I mean, we're just all kind of excited right now because we're a new board and we're just getting excited about what we can do, right? But we appreciate that it's COVID and, we're all living it too. So we'll kind of map this out, and maybe, Kevin, we can talk about what meetings are the right meetings to present these topics at and sort of map it out for people so they know when they can expect it.
Yeah. We have a timeline. We have an internal timeline about how we're working on this stuff, and you can go right along with that timeline.
Right. I mean, I think one of the things that Jeff brought up was that work plan, that 5-year plan. You've brought that to us multiple times in the past, and it's probably not a bad idea to have a touch point on that, especially with new board members, to get a chance to see it and kind of get the drill and figure out if we need to add anything or embellish. Anything else? Do we have any need to go into executive session? I don't think so. Is there any more business before the board? Well, it's 7:42, not my best record, but hopefully next time I'll do a little better if I get a chance to, plan the agenda a little more and review it, knowing that I have to do this. So thank you again for electing me chair. It's quite an honor. And I'm really pleased that Nina and what's her name? Alicia is gonna is gonna be the clerk. And we hope we can do a good job for you guys. And you know what? Don't hesitate to tell us when we're off our rocker. Just do it kind of in a nice way, not with the camera going. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.